And just like that, we're back. Thank you, gang. Thank you, team. Thank you all for joining me once again. Welcome to Roots Holistic, and this is the Daily Spread with your host, the one and only G3E. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for sharing your energy with me as well. I do appreciate it. And as we know, what we appreciate appreciates. So, just as I say that, I'm just thinking about how we direct and focus our energy. Where are we going to go with that? I'm actually thinking, these initial thoughts when I start reading are always like linked to the reading somehow. So, yeah, man, I'm just thankful. So, yeah, thank you to the guides. Thank you, angels. Thank you, God. Thank you, ascended masters, all entities, beings, and forces wishing us well. May we begin. So, here we go. Today, I have pulled out the same cards as I did, use the same deck, sorry, as I did yesterday. It's the day after the full moon. Today is the 7th of October, 2025. And as much as I'm mentioning what the date is, I would like to mention that these readings are timeless. So whenever they find you, it's definitely for you. And also a reminder that these readings are for the collective. So not everything may resonate with you, but please do take what does and leave the rest. So for today, I'll start with the oracle cards. I've pulled out two. One of them says, believe in the impossible, and that is the blue moon. Second one says, meditate and contemplate new moon in Pisces. If you didn't know, I am a Pisces. That's my sun sign. I've got some other signs in my chart in the description. You can check that out if you'd like. And then at the back of the oracle deck, the Moonology oracle deck, it says your commitment is being tested, and that is the first quarter full moon. Sorry, first quarter moon. Ooh, I don't think that was a mistake though. First quarter full moon. It's like we almost getting like the full moon in 4 parts maybe. So I think there's maybe 4 different energies that might be dissected here or something like that. And it's so interesting because just as I was like, shuffling and I put all the tarot cards down, a card that just slipped out is the Four of Pentacles. And I mean, I'm seeing 4 circles, 4 coins in there. So I don't know, maybe it's like, showing that within the next 4 moon cycles that something amazing is going to happen. Spirit's already leading me to kind of read that part of the reading right now. And what I'm just thinking now is, with our commitment being tested, can we hold true to the mission? With the Four of Pentacles, that's kind of looked at as, keeping things to yourself, having some kind of like a stable foundation. As I'm looking at the card itself, it's like somebody holding something close to the chest. I'm also looking at it almost like as I'm looking at a hair being wavy. It doesn't almost look like it's being held up by anything. So it's like, can you trust that you are being held, that you are being carried, even if you don't see what it is, through the smoke, through the wind, through the fog, that there will be clarity, but you just have to hold true to the mission. And that is your commitment, right? So I often believe that when we ask for certain things, we are going to be tested to see if we are worthy of not only receiving those things, but carrying them, maintaining them. I'm thinking about the messages I've received in the past about, getting something is easy to get, but it's about keeping it, maintaining it. And that is very important. I'm even thinking about a playlist I've made for, the Journey Within deck that I've been working on. Coming soon, coming soon. There's a playlist there, or a card specifically speaking to maintaining. I think it's a very good time to share that with this reading. But anyway, moving on. Spirit came through today. I was aiming just to go for 5 cards as I did yesterday, but today it looks like, we're doubling up on that. So I've got 10 cards here, tarot cards. I'm going to tell you what they all are, and then of course read them one at a time, and then tell you what's at the back of the oracle, sorry, at the tarot deck as well. I am the oracle, you are the oracle. I actually think I'm getting a sense that one of the people who's reading this message or listening to this message, sorry, might also be a tarot reader or oracle reader. So yeah, that just might be a synchronicity for someone. Anyways, let's begin. So in our first row, we have the Nine of Wands upright, the Chariot in reverse, the Nine of Swords in reverse, the Six of Swords in reverse, as well as the Knight of Swords in reverse. And below that, we have the Eight of Cups upright. We have the Queen of Swords in reverse, the Nine of Cups in reverse, the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, and the Ace of Swords upright. So, yo, man, I'm just starting to feel this energy as we're going through it. It's so crazy. As I've been like reading these cards, I've been like rubbing my hands. You know, I did put on like some cream because they were dry. But I think there's something to do with hands again. You know, I think, you know, now that we're doing daily readings, the energy is kind of going to evolve little by little over time. So, again, thank you for going on this journey with me. But yeah, let's start with the first two cards that we have over here, which is the Nine of Wands and the Eight of Cups. You know, the Nine of Wands speaks to trying and trying and trying again. And, you know, it's speaking to kind of like being a wounded warrior in the sense of, you know, you've gone through battles, you've gone through trials and tribulations. And after a very long time, you're at the point of questioning like, hey, am I actually going to succeed? Am I actually going to make it through what it is that I need to make it through? And, you know, with this card being next to the Believe in the Impossible card, I'm being led to think about how this could be a test, like we're seeing the commitment is being tested, about how if you can just hang in there, if you can commit and just give it one more try, one more go, don't give up. Because, you know, just like we're seeing with the Eight of Cups, it's like there's just maybe one more step between the Nine of Wands to the Ten of Wands, you know, and 10 is like a completion number. So with this Eight of Cups, the reason why I'm mentioning it is because it speaks to a transition or taking the higher path, the higher road, you know, leaving something behind. So it's like with the Nine of Wands and the Eight of Cups here together, it's like at this point in your journey, you are being reminded that even though you've been through so much, you need to persist, you need to keep going, and know that the things that are going to fulfill you, especially emotionally, and that also allow you to express yourself, those are right around the corner. I'm even getting a sense of being closer than you think, even though you don't see it. But it's about believing and staying true to the mission, you know, holding the vision. Sorry, I'm just taking a sip of my tea over there. I've got some peppermint tea again today, my new favorite. But yeah, you know, I think you do realize that, you know, even after all these trials and tribulations, wherever you're going to next is still going to require some hard work. It's going to require you to leave things behind. You know, with the Eight of Cups, you know, it's speaking to attempt at finding some kind of healing, some kind of emotional fulfillment that you didn't find in certain places or spaces or even with certain groups of people. It might just be you and 7 other people, you know, that's kind of what's coming through right now with the Eight of Cups. But, you know, taking the higher road, taking the higher path, even if it means you have to walk there or in that direction by yourself. I think, you know, with this card also being next to the Meditate and Contemplate Oracle card, it's a matter of saying if we can observe, if we can take some time to also relax and, you know, review our day, how our energy is being directed. Again, like I mentioned at the beginning, what we appreciate appreciates. See where you are appreciating, you know, what is actually increasing, and where energy goes, where focus goes, energy flows. Yes, that's the saying. So are you going to focus on, you know, the losses, the challenges that actually didn't feel so good? Because again, what's good is God. So you're going to focus on what does nourish you, what does fulfill you, and what does allow you to express and be your very best. You know, with the Nine of Wands again, I'm seeing that behind her in this image, she has some of the wands on her back and they are in the shape of an X. So I'm getting the sense about how things need to be crossed out. Some people are being blocked, some people are being X'd out, you know. They also say X marks the spot. So you might have been targeted by certain people, you know. And I think it's just a reminder that you can still get up, you can still go get what's yours. You know, you're still on a mission and you're focused. Even if, you know, they're going to hurt you and harm you, you can still find some healing, but you're going to find it in a different place. So start within, and then what we know, like we know with manifestation, what starts within will reflect outwards, you know, on the external. Wow, that was nice. Alrighty, let's move to the next cards. The Chariot in reverse and the Queen of Swords in reverse. I'm getting now with how I mentioned that you might have a target on your back. It looks like, with the Chariot in reverse, the Chariot actually, before I explain it in reverse, the Chariot speaks to movement, and you can also think of it as a car. So with this Chariot being in reverse, I'm getting the sense that like something was stopped in its tracks. It's almost like something fell into a pit. If you, let's say, think about a situation where somebody is setting up a trap, and then they think that they're going to catch their prey or their target within that trap, and then ultimately they get caught in that trap themselves. So yeah, I'm getting something about something being stopped in its tracks, or whatever was targeted against you is actually being shielded and being blocked or stopped. So that's why the X is coming through again. And the X, like I'm saying, like I said, sorry, is behind her. So it's like these attacks, even though they try to come at you, they are staying behind you. And again, looking at the Queen of Swords in reverse now, when I think of the Queen of Swords, a guiding phrase for me is that the truth comes at a cost. The swords also speak to things of the mind, intellect, and right now I'm getting something about telepathy. And I think you might be quite telepathic, but then you might have gotten a message about heeding your guidance, which means like actually taking a step back and allowing someone to kind of like get lost in their own trap, get lost in their own concoction, their own idea or story that they might have been telling themselves. It kind of even comes across as like mental games in a sense. I'm even feeling like the Page of Swords type of an energy right now. It's a bit snoopy, it's a bit tricky, but at the same time, being the queen, you are in a position where you can discern. I think about how the queen looks in the traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck, where she's got one arm out and then the other arm, with a hand on a sword. So I kind of think of that arm as like being the arm that's discerning and kind of like sifting through the noise, or the mental confusion and the blocks. And in this case, with this particular deck, the Third Eye Tarot deck, you see the queen without any eyes. So it's like, can you put on your spiritual sunglasses or your spiritual eyeglasses and see this from a spiritual point of view? Be reminded that a lot of the things that we face are actually spiritual. You think that you're dealing with a person, but you're dealing with a spirit and energy. And the moment you can identify that energy, you can avoid being caught up in this trap or in this pit. With this Queen of Swords in reverse, I'm seeing it next to the Eight of Cups, and both of them have a image of a door or a shield that has an eye on it. And with this Queen of Swords not having eyes, I'm getting that one eye needs to be on your protection and one eye needs to be on your destination. So as much as you're looking ahead to what it is that you want to do, you're not also about to get yourself into these pits or fall for these traps, fall for these tricks that people are trying to pull you into. Because again, I get the sense that they can see that your energy is quite viable. You might be very fertile at this point in time. Ooh-wee, spirit's coming through, man. But yeah, I think there's definitely a recognition as to, why you need to hold a vision, believe in the impossible, and realize that there is definitely a movement taking place here. And, these things needed to be identified ultimately. So we're getting a lot of number nines actually now that I look at it, because we had, not had, we have, um, had, I'm getting the sense that people are trying to, again, take things from us, it's like a, siphoning, usurping, carpet. What's that thing? Like you pull the rug under someone or pull the carpet under someone. Yeah, I'm just getting the type of an energy. But the nines here that we have actually on the table is the Nine of Wands, the Nine of Swords, and now the Nine of Cups. And I just noticed that, so sense of the reading, we have the Nine of Swords in reverse and the Nine of Cups in reverse. So 9-9, in South Africa, I don't know if they say it in other places, but when you go 9-9, that's like the truth, you're not about to lie right now. Ukhulumi var, speaking the truth. That's for my Afrikaans and Zulu speaking people right there. That's some tsotsital, as they call it. But yeah, man, the 9-9 that we have here, Nine of Swords in reverse, Nine of Cups in reverse. it's like, you know what, your worries, your stresses, your burdens, things that you were concerned about, things that were weighing heavy on your mind, causing maybe stress, anxiety, worry, are actually being eliminated. They're being dissipated. I'm getting the sense of like light, a light appearing in the darkness. There was some light that is going to reveal itself or make itself apparent or known, because you might have been worried about, how do I actually make the next move? How do I move from my 9 of Wands to my 10 of Wands, where, I'm able to get to my destination and drop my burdens, and get to my destination and actually, put my sticks down, or put my burdens down, and actually start building a new structure. Because there's something here definitely about the movement, and you're so close. I mean, that's what was coming through earlier. But just before you get there, it's like Spirit is saying that, what, we needed to actually make you aware of energies that you needed to let go of, energies that you need to leave behind. And if you are about to move into your 9 of Cups, the 9 of Cups is in reverse here, and we had the 8 of Cups earlier. It's like you are moving away, but you're not at the place that you need to be yet, because there are still these, dissipations taking place. There's still a clearing. I'm thinking about how, if you were someone wanting to live off grid, you would need to find this place in the forest and actually clear out some space. So you wouldn't want to receive your greatest blessings, your greatest abundance, your ultimate, your personal fulfillment in places where you could be usurped, where it could be taken away from you, or it couldn't be maintained. Ooh, here's the earlier part of the reading coming through right now. So it's like, you were actually being refined. You were being prepared to be the person that doesn't just only receive the blessing, but maintains it, looks after it, and nourishes it, nurtures it. So anything that was not for you is ultimately being let out. So, I'm seeing these cups overflowing. Every single cup is overflowing. But how can your cups overflow? How can you give from an empty cup if, you're still concerned about certain things? So it's like coming through as like a collaboration with Spirit, it's like the truth, the 9-9 again, that, I'm even thinking about Brooklyn Nine-Nine, how it's like a comedy show. I think you might be laughing through the things that you're experiencing. You might actually be, appreciating that the truth is being revealed in such a funny way, in such a way that is kind of flimsy or clumsy, because there's so much exposure. People are showing their butts out here. So that's crazy. That is so crazy. But as the truth, as, oh goodness, English, as this truth is being revealed, you are making space for more abundance. And I always like to think of, when we do see a card in a reading, regardless of its position, it speaks to the energy being present but appearing in a certain way. So your 9 of Cups is here. It might not be in its full manifestation or fulfillment. It might not have, like appeared physically, but it is definitely being conjured up in the spiritual realm. And we know things start spiritually first, and then they appear physically. So that's why we need to be aware that, we are dealing with spirits. So if we can see that there's a spirit that needs to be removed, then, we actually can get into the manifestation and the creation that we want to. I'm being led to the next card, the next set of cards, which is the 6 of Swords in reverse and the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. And I was just thinking now about how, our manifestations start within and they make their way out because of things starting within us and then reflecting outwards. So, oh man, there's a thought that just escaped me. But I think that actually might be part of the reading, is to say, as you're moving towards your manifestation, as you're transitioning, there might be things that are trying to withhold you and stop your progress, because they see that you are moving towards this great abundance, this 10 of Pentacles that is, generational wealth, or ultimately something that's very long lasting. I'm getting a legacy, or, something that lasts for a very long time, not just for you, but, for a group, a long time. Looks like there's a lot of money here, a lot of abundance that's making its way. I'm actually even getting that for me to have like lost my train of thought for a second there, it's almost like there's there's an energy that is still present, that is still disrupting what it is that we are trying to get to. And I think that's why this group is appearing in the way that it is. It's like you still need to have your boundaries up. You still need to keep your guard up because, again, we're being tested, right? We're being tested for our commitment. Can we hold true to the manifestation, to the vision, and ultimately, like, know that while we are moving forward to pursue these great things, these abundant things, um, all these moons, all these cycles, all these seasons are just here to refine us, to churn us, to fine tune us into these people who are capable of maintaining what it is that's being provided to us. I was just thinking now about how people have their butts shown, and with this what? Six of Swords, you see her, from the behind, from the back, but going towards these steps. So it's like, don't let these trials, these tests hold you back from, or even distract you from holding true to the vision and what it is that you need to move forward towards. It's like, having like a guiding post or even a light post. I'm even getting something about a lighthouse right now. So it's about, you know, setting your sights or your target on something and reminding yourself of where it is that you're going. I think it would be very important to like kind of like replay a vision or a scene in your mind that reminds you of what your greatest fulfillment is. What does your 10 of Pentacles look like? What does your greatest fulfillment, your greatest success, your abundance, your opulence, what does that look like? And being diligent with that as you move through. Um, and then we have our last two cards, which is the Knight of Swords in reverse and the Ace of Swords. So yeah, this is definitely something in your mind. I think, as you are navigating, through your peaks and your troughs, it's a matter of saying, don't rush into things and be very discerning about the decisions that you're going to make. I think this is a important time to review, to meditate and contemplate, because in review you'll be able to make a more informed decision, a decision that better aligns with your actions and allows you to ultimately wield your power, wield your strength. I'm even being brought back to the Queen of Swords right now, is that people are like kind of trying to bring you out of your shell. They're trying to bring out a side of you that is haphazard, that is matasa tasa, all over the place, confused, misused. I don't know. It's just like they kind of treat your energy, or like disperse your energy, like make it very sparse. So I'm just getting that sense right now. So if there's anything that's trying to rush you into, making a quick decision or not giving you the opportunity to even think through things, just be aware that that is a sign that you actually need to slow down and seek clarity, seek some illumination, seek time to sift through the information, the facts, and ultimately make this informed decision. You definitely have a crown to look after. I think you realize, just like we had spoken about earlier with the Nine of Wands, is that you're moving towards something, you're moving ahead to something, and because you're so close, and it's almost like energetically the people, places, and spaces around you can tell that you're like glowing, you're in this this magician mode activated era, like we are speaking to yesterday, that they might just try to knock you off your path or your track. And as I'm thinking about that, I get the Eight of Swords as being not the Eight of Swords. Oh, but again, we need to release ourselves from certain things. But the Eight of Cups, we were thinking about transport, and I'm getting a lot about movement right now. The Eight of Cups could actually represent a train, the car being represented by the Chariot. So it's like, even with your movement, now again, with the Knight of Swords moving very quickly, you don't want to move very quickly in the wrong direction. So, slow steps are still steps, movement is still movement, baby steps are still steps. So don't be too hard on yourself, don't judge yourself too much right now, but just trust in your intuition, your feelings. And I think that's bringing me back to the beginning where I was speaking about something about telepathy. I think you might be quite telepathic, so trust in those intuitive hits. Okay, at the back of the wow, that was dope. Okay, at the back of the tarot deck, we have the Six of Cups in reverse. And this speaks to things in the past. It also could speak to, your younger self, or your inner child, and honoring your inner child. But with this card being in reverse, I think it's speaking to, letting things go, leaving the past in the past. I think what's being highlighted again is these people, places, and spaces or energies that are not necessarily adding to your fulfillment. And it might also be a call to see how do you honor your inner child in a way that is not going to self-sabotage or self-sacrifice. So definitely do review that. And then behind that, we have the Strength card in reverse. So don't have fear, don't have worry, but again, this is just speaking to a lot of discernment. What is actually trying to minimize you? What is taking away your courage, your strength, your ability to, sorry, confirmation burp, that is actually taking you away from stepping into your strength, honing in on your power. So, I'm seeing with this particular strength card, it has English, goodness gracious, it has a fist clenched. So what is it that you're going to focus on? Are you holding true to the vision like we were speaking about earlier? So yes, gang, let's stay true. Let's do what it do. Let's keep focused. Let's meditate and contemplate. And again, let's believe in the impossible. I think there's a miracle that might just manifest here or make itself known, and know that there is something on the other side of this. So hold true, hold strong. Know that this is where you belong, even with the turbulence. So all the best with your manifesting, and thank you. I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.